2 of The Kingdom of Pinfall. It's me, Michelle. It's been 5 years since the end of Season 1. Quite a hiatus. Shit happened. Be sure to check out my link tree and the other pertinent links in the episode description. A lot of things have changed with my links, with myself, with the podcast, and with wrestling in general. This started back in 2020. It was like a COVID project. But anyway, go back and listen to Season 1. I'm not going to recap Season 1. We are going to pick up and just go. You should start with Season 1, though. Start with Episode 1. This goes in chronological order. It's a me reading fan fiction. What a time to be alive. Beautiful. There's 2 bonus episodes. I've added cool new items to my Kingdom of Pinfall Etsy shop. There are now buttons. There's buttons. The podcast is also now available on YouTube. All of Season 1 is up and there. Not the 2 bonus episodes at the end of Season 1. Those are only available on the standard podcasting platforms. If you were listening to this on a podcasting platform, just FYI, YouTube has subtitles as well as visuals, because this has become now an audio-visual art project. I don't know. I can't explain what has happened. But if you're here on YouTube, hello, welcome. And you you can also find, links are in the description, for fuck's sake, you guys. Figure it out. This episode has got violence. There's no profanity, I think. There's profanity here in the intro because I am just a trash human being. It's just violence, wrestling violence, plus blood, accents. I had a hard time doing Nikki's accent. Harder time. And I think I slipped up with Becky a lot too. It is so hard to do both of them in one episode, and I hate myself for putting them together in so many chapters, and there's so many more. Like, they're going to be together for a lot. Oh, God. I think that's it. I don't want to ramble too much here in this intro, and I'd like to get into the episode. But I feel like I'm forgetting some housekeeping that I need to do since it has been so many years. Season 2 on YouTube is going to be kind of higher production value, quote unquote, than Season 1. I wanted to get the Season 1 episodes just done, so I kind of jammed them out. It's got some of my artwork in there, but Season 2 is going to be more of my stupid art, which of course you can buy from my Etsy shop, and I will be hopefully adding some more to it going forward. Okay, I swear to God, I think I'm done. I think I've got it. I'm so sorry that I talk so much. JK, sorry not sorry, suckers. Let's go to Pinfall. Chapter 15. The Kabuki Warriors strike again. By the time Alexa, Nikki, and Becky set out from the Hall of Fame, Becky's wounds are completely healed. She's as good as new. She whistles a jolly tune and continuously whirls her war scythe around, swinging it out and over her head such that Nikki and Alexa continually have to duck and dodge the blade. Nikki eventually decides to walk a safe distance behind Becky, and Alexa takes to the air to do some scouting. Alexa is sure someone should have at least challenged Becky by now, and the fact that no one has is making her strangely uncomfortable. It isn't right. It's very suspicious. Alexa pulls the map out of her pack and looks at it, biting her bottom lip pensively. It will probably be another day before we reach the walls of Jericho, dudes. Becky actually pauses the twirling of her weapon and looks up and says, "Dudes, huh?" Nikki comments, "I think she hit her head or something." "Dudes is fine, but, kinda weird coming from you, Bliss," Becky comments and resumes her scythe-wielding display. The closest passage through the wall, if my memory of Professor Charlotte's endless ramblings is correct, is called the Iron Gates of Fate. Nikki gasps, causing Becky to turn around and raise an eyebrow. Alexa looks down at them, and Nikki asks them both, "Don't you know that passage is cursed? It was sealed shut. No one's meant to go through that one. We need to go east through the main gate." Yeah, brother. Alexa laughs heartily. We've all heard the stories. Becky does a momentary double take at her, blinks, and then says to Nikki, "Curses aren't real. We'll be fine. We got this, brother." Nikki speaks incredibly quickly and slurs her words together in her excitement. "But if all the legends are true, then curses are probably true too." Sighing, Becky stops and turns to completely face her. "Look." "Listen here, brother!" Alexa interrupts her and starts to address Nikki, her voice rasping strangely. Both women on the ground look up in confusion, and Alexa seems not to notice. She's just flying in a circle above them, looking at her map. Becky shakes her head and attempts to go on. "Not everything's literally true, you see. Everything is a little bit true. I'm sure it's not cursed. She insists again. "We'll be fine." "We've got you to protect us, Nikki," Alexa says pleasantly, speaking normally. Becky pats Nikki on the shoulder and nods in agreement. "Exactly." "Quit patronizing me, both of you," Nikki grunts and leaves it alone. She wants to bring up the hotel incident, but she holds her tongue. She wants to bring up a lot of incidents in which Alexa refused to listen to her. She always holds her tongue because Alexa is her best friend. Becky keeps patting her shoulder and finally stops when she starts to growl at her a little. "Sheesh," says Becky, and begins moving ahead again. She chopped a limb smoothly from a tree for no reason as she passes, revealing the sharpness of her blade. She looks pleased with herself, and she asks in a jovial tone, "So how do you two end up together exactly? Not a lot of sprites venture out of the little woodland villages these days, much less take up traveling around with grumpy fighter types to save the kingdom." "I got lost in a sprite forest," Nikki answers. "She got lost in a sprite forest," Alexa also answers at the same time. Becky chuckles and chops down a patch of grass in the road in front of her, then comments, "This journey's been rather uneventful." "You almost shot me with a crossbow," Alexa reminds her and finally puts the map away. "Oh, yeah," she shrugs, "totally an accident." They walk along quietly for only a few minutes before Becky speaks up again. "So, what all are you not telling me?" "Huh?" Alexa quickly responds before Nikki can react and give anything away. Nikki butts in anyway. "We're not keeping any secrets from you, Becky." "Could you have said that any more suspiciously, brother?" Alexa asks, dropping her voice several octaves for no reason the other two can ascertain. Again, both Nikki and Becky pause and look up at her. She's absolutely oblivious to her own utterance, and she says in her normal voice without skipping a beat, "What? Why are you both staring at me like that? Is there something on my face?" "I was looking for a handlebar mustache and a bandana," Becky tells her. "Huh?" Alexa mutters, baffled. Becky's so weird. "It's that crossbow! That crossbow's making her crazy!" Nikki yells as she is struck by the epiphany. She points, eyes wide. "It's a curse, Becky! Lexi has been stricken by a bloody curse! Curses are real, I knew it!" "Huh?" Alexa says again, this time to Nikki, and flutters down to the ground. Becky stops and blinks. "I can usually understand you, but what did you just say? It sounded like some nonsense about a curse and curses are not real." Nikki points and jumps up and down. "The crossbow! It's the Hulkamaniac!" "No!" Becky responds with complete disbelief. She nearly drops her scythe. "You don't mean to tell me I had my little hands on a legendary weapon and I gave it away, do you?" "You're not any good with ranged weapons!" Nikki flails her arms, then points again to Alexa. "Plus, that thing is cursed!" "Take your vitamins and say your prayers, little Alexa maniacs!" Alexa says in the deep, gravelly voice again. Becky does drop her scythe this time. She picks it up quickly. "What the hell?" Before they can delve further into this, they're interrupted. "Becky!" Asuka screams and appears in front of them. She points toward the redhead. She's wearing her mask and colorful robe. There's no sign of Kairi Sane, which worries both Nikki and Alexa. "Who, me?" Becky acts startled, then looks around, and behind her. She spins in a full circle. Nikki has to duck the blade of her weapon as a referee appears and the bell rings. Becky drops her belts on the ground, making it so the referee has to pick them up, and she grins, ready and far too eager for this confrontation. Crap. Alexa groans and pulls the crossbow from her shoulder. She loads a bolt and cranks it as quickly as she can while she flies into the air again. Nikki charges toward Asuka with an enraged scream. She's still pretty sore about losing the belts of power. The universe screams encouragement at her. Becky follows close behind. "This fight is for the Raw Women's Belt of Power and the SmackDown Women's Belt of Power," announces the heavenly voice of Byron Saxon. He clarifies, "The women's tag team belts of power are not at stake." "Good to know," Alexa mumbles and then watches confusedly from the sky as Nikki runs into exactly nothing. When she should have barreled into Asuka, Asuka is standing 2 feet to the side of where she had been less than a second before, but no one saw her move. She takes off her mask and cackles, then starts shouting at Becky, paying next to no mind to Nikki. Alexa aims carefully and pulls the trigger of the crossbow, but when the bolt should have hit Asuka, it continues and buries itself in a tree trunk. Asuka is slightly to the side of where she was. Asuka's fast, but there's no way she's that fast. Or is Alexa slow? She feels somehow slow. This doesn't make sense, though. Then she remembers the belts she and Nikki lost. Charlotte said something about time manipulation? That must be what this is. Chronomancy is one of the rarest and most difficult types of sorcery to wield. It can look like teleportation depending on how it's used. She begins quickly channeling her own magic. She can speed Becky up at least. She hopes it will somehow balance out some of the magic from the belts. Maybe. She isn't sure. She begins to cast, but her spell keeps being disrupted and she can't tell what or where the counter is coming from. She frustratedly loads another crossbow bolt. Becky swings her scythe in a broad stroke, covering at least 180 degrees in front of her. She should have sliced Asuka in half, or at least given her a good cut across her middle, but Asuka is just slightly out of the way again. "I hate teleporters!" Becky growls, not knowing this isn't teleportation exactly. Then something even more strange happens, and the extent of the belt's powers begin to reveal themselves. It feels like a split second to the 3 heroes that the universe is screaming and chanting for. Alexa ends up on the ground, feeling like she's been suplexed several times. She's splayed out with no idea how she got there. All 3 of them have been stripped of their weapons. Nikki's newly acquired armored gauntlets, Becky's scythe, and Alexa's crossbow, as well as her throwing knives, are all laying at the feet of Kairi Sane, who appeared from nowhere. "What the hell is going on here?" Becky whines. She's standing like she's still holding her scythe for a moment before she realizes her hands are empty. "What happened to normal fights? I just want to punch people until they can't get up anymore." She stomps her foot. "I hate this." "Me too," Nikki agrees and makes a run for Asuka again, but with the same results as before. She feels like a bull, and Asuka is the red blanket being waved around by the matador. "It's their belts, Alexamaniacs," Alexa tells them. "It's time manipulation, not teleportation. Their juice will run out." She buzzes toward Kairi, bobbing in the air a bit with a damaged wing. She can only manage to get a few feet off of the ground. "At least we're not in a tiny hotel room this time," Nikki comments. Asuka points again at Becky, yells in Japanese, and then says, "Have to kill Becky!" Now, Becky says calmly, putting her hands out with open palms. She keeps her eyes on Asuka, but tries to make her way toward Kairi. They have no strategy and no plan for how to fight these two. They have no idea how to counter the belt magic at all. This is maybe something they should have looked into when they were at the Hall of Fame. Their best hope is to just outlast them, wait for the belts to need to recharge. But that seems nigh impossible. Running for Asuka again, Nikki instead goes inexplicably crashing into Becky, who was several feet away from Asuka. These movements and these changes are happening in the blink of an eye. It makes Nikki's head hurt. Alexa's head is starting to hurt too. It must be a side effect of the time manipulation. Asuka is shouting again from nearby. She's speaking with urgency, but no one can understand her. She's trying desperately to tell Nikki something. Alexa keeps flying around Kairi and the weapons just out of reach, knowing she can do something at any time to put a stop to her if she wants. As Becky and Nikki untangle themselves from each other and try to get up, Nikki seethes at Asuka. "I'm gonna get ya! You just need to hold still!" In the next second, Alexa is circling nothing, and Becky has been beaten to a pulp on the ground next to Nikki. It's also later in the morning. The sun is higher than it should be, and Alexa has a splitting headache. She's exhausted. Nikki is lying confused, clutching her head. "This isn't fair at all," Nikki mumbles and winces. She looks around, one eye swelling shut. She wipes some blood from her mouth with the back of her hand, gets up, and stumbles toward Asuka. Asuka and Kairi are now several feet away. Asuka says to her, "Time to die, Becky Lynch!" "Oh, come on! Are you going to let me fight you, or are you going to keep freezing me in time to beat me, or whatever is happening here?" Becky asks as she shambles toward her. "I want to do this right, you know?" "Stay out of the way!" Kairi yells at Nikki and Alexa. "Just Becky!" Asuka says with conviction. "You are not ready for Asuka!" "I'm plenty ready for ya!" protests Nikki, shaking her head and getting up, but visibly fatigued. "Stop," says Kairi, almost pleading, sort of commanding. Asuka again speaks urgently in Japanese. "What are you saying, brother?" Alexa asks her, annoyed. "Probably something about killing me." Becky makes a run for the Kabuki Warriors. Asuka meets her head on this time and they collide. Asuka grabs onto Becky's head, wrapping both of her arms around it, and tries to drive her to her knees. Taking advantage of Asuka locking up with Becky, Alexa and Nikki both go for Kairi and their weapons. As she runs, Alexa's wings shrink away, and she digs into her satchel for a potion. She throws the little glass vial to Nikki, saying, "Brother, take this!" "Okay, brother!" Nikki goes along with it, removes the cork, and quickly drinks the contents. Alexa pulls another bottle out and does the same. Then another strange thing happens. Becky and Asuka are shrieking and punching one another, but they go silent. Everything goes silent, as if the world has paused. Kairi's head tilts to the side in confusion, unsure how Alexa and Nikki are still in motion toward her. They hit her simultaneously with a clothesline each, taking her down. But they're moving in slow motion. At least this is what it feels like to both of them. The sensation is unnerving. After Kairi hits the ground, also in slow motion, an even stranger thing happens to them. First, Kairi lets out an oomph. Then the world around them jettisons into fast forward in order to catch up after being paused. It's too loud and all of the sounds whir together, making an ear-splitting noise. Alexa and Nikki are crippled by headaches at the same time. Alexa falls into Nikki, both of them groaning. Becky and Asuka are fighting again. Or still, Alexa figures. They never stopped. They were unaware anything else happened due to the time warp. Becky saw the three of them vanish, but had no time to ponder it shallowly, much less deeply. She gets several good punches into Asuka's midsection, but Asuka could not be stopped. Becky's already been half beaten by the time Asuka faces her properly, as she demanded. Asuka takes her down with a leg sweep, then is on her again. She grabs her by her hair and begins slamming her head onto the ground. Becky fights against her as her vision becomes increasingly blurred, beginning to fade in and out. She can hear the universe. but they sound like they're at the end of a distant tunnel. This is not an ideal way to die, in the middle of the street somewhere north of the Hall of Fame. Not very valiantly either. She manages to usher some strength, a lot of it, and suddenly. She rolls and finds herself on top of Asuka. She maneuvers herself to grab onto her arm and put her in a disarm her. Asuka somehow wriggles her way out of it, not giving up, and incredibly wiry. She sends her knee into Becky's ribs, and they spend some time kicking and punching one another on the ground, dirt flying up in clouds. It carries on for several minutes until the three women that disappeared reappear in completely different states than they disappeared in. Becky pauses this time, and the second long pause is long enough for Asuka to get behind her and get her in a headlock. She begins pressing her neck with her arm, making it hard for her to breathe. Her head spins, Asuka cutting off the flow of blood to her brain now. She paws at Asuka's arms, trying to scratch her, trying to move her face to bite her, anything. She kicks against the dirt, digging in her heels, but her legs rapidly grow weaker as her vision begins to go. Kairi gets up and dashes toward Nikki. She strikes her with a hard elbow right in the face, knocking her back down to the ground. Next, she knocks Alexa back down with a roundhouse kick to the side of her head. "Down!" she shouts at them. "Just stay down!" Yet another strange thing occurs in the next moment. A haunting rush of cold air blows up from the south, stirring all of the trees, bending the grass, silencing the universe. It fills them all with dread and a sense of impending doom. No one is sure what it is. None of them caused it. Someone else has joined, another presence, watching them, surrounding them with a dark power. Kairi finds herself unable to use the magic of the belt. Surely the power is not already spent. Not completely. She momentarily has a look of panic before she runs toward Asuka, presumably to help her finish off Becky, who won't seem to die. Becky musters more strength, the universe picking up their chance for her again. The presence distracts Asuka long enough for Becky to somehow slither out of her grip. She scrambles away, vaguely toward her weapon, but she can't see and isn't entirely sure where she is in relation to it anymore. Her head is spinning. Kairi gets to her a moment later and catches her under her chin with a knee to send her reeling back toward Asuka. Asuka speaks quickly to Kairi, also realizing that her belt magic is no longer working. She points frantically toward her belt. Kairi indicates that she doesn't understand, doesn't know what happened, something along those lines. With Kairi's back turned, Nikki plows into her. Alexa makes a desperate leap toward Becky's scythe. She gets her fingers on it enough to shove it toward Becky. It slides across the ground to just within her reach. The battered Irish woman manages to grip the shaft to riotous screams from the universe in her favor. She sweeps the end with the pummel back, taking Asuka's feet out from under her, then she uses it to help herself up. Laughing bitterly, she limps away from her, trying to get some distance between them to recoup. She asks Asuka breathlessly, "Why are you trying to kill me? For the belts? You don't need to kill me to win them." "Your belts do not matter!" Asuka stands again and starts slowly approaching her, glowering and baring her teeth. A huge black raven descends from the cloudless sky and lands silently behind Asuka. Charlotte then rises up menacingly. She grabs her shoulders and whirls her around and punches her swiftly in the jaw. She stumbles back, caught off guard and seeing stars. "You again?" Becky groans dramatically and sags forward. "A thank you would suffice," Charlotte says to her without looking as she plows into Asuka, knocking her onto her back. She steps on her chest and then throws out her left arm, spawning a large circle of churning darkness on the ground, catching Kairi in the middle of it. Kairi begins screaming and is stuck in place as an oily black substance covers her boots and begins to crawl up her legs. Charlotte points her other hand down at Asuka. "Submit or I'll kill her. End this." Asuka looks toward Kairi, and Charlotte digs her heel harder into her chest. Asuka gazes back at her and growls. She nods and then says, "Becky must die." Not today. Charlotte steps off of her and drops her arm, releasing Kairi from whatever hellish thing had her. I'd also prefer to be the one that kills her. Asuka glowers at her and taps her hand on the ground rapidly. The referee brings Becky her belts. Charlotte looks at her for a moment and neither says anything. Charlotte opens her mouth to speak but closes it quickly and looks down before turning back into a raven and flying away toward the south. "Charlotte Flair!" Asuka shouts at her, and it's followed by a lot of yelling in Japanese. She shakes her fists at the sky. Kairi says something about playing by the rules. Asuka helps her up. They clutch their belts and the two of them vanish. It's well after noon now. What just happened? Nikki is still stunned. I didn't care for that. I don't care for them having those particular belts, says Becky. It seems those belts have given them some really annoying powers. You two should probably get those back. Oh, so you believe the belts are magical now then? Nikki asks her, sounding somewhat annoyed, but mostly still confused. Becky begins hobbling up the road again in the direction they had been going. I'm not saying that. Now come on, Bliss Cross, let's get moving. Day's wasting. Yeah, observes Alexa. We were fighting them for like 6 hours. Becky jokes, oh, I wouldn't say we were fighting them so much. They mostly kicked our asses. Why are they trying to kill ya? Nikki asks her. She shrugs. Dunno, I suspect they'll be back again and probably with a more impressive arsenal. Did Charlotte counter the belt magic? Nikki asks them. Becky scoffs. I was about to finish her off. Charlotte wasn't necessary. Are you sure about that? Because I'm pretty sure she did do something to counter the belt magic. Alexa agrees with Nikki. Bah! Becky scoffs again. I had her. We had them. It was under control. 3 against 2. They'd worn themselves out. Alexa changes the subject. She's talking normally as she gathers up her weapons. Asuka shouldn't challenge you again for at least a few days. If we can get to the other side of the wall, I don't think they'll follow. Also picking up her gauntlets and putting them back on, Nikki sighs. I don't know, Lexi. Almost as soon as Alexa lays her hands on her crossbow again, she lets out a loud, Hell yeah, brother! The end. Hell yeah. Thanks for listening. I'm not sure what the schedule is going to be for episodes because these do take a little bit longer with the stuff I'm doing for YouTube, so it takes a good bit longer than they were taking a good bit before, but this is really adding to the work. This might be a once a month thing. Also, I have not completely written the chapter that comes next. I'm reorganizing things a little bit to kind of incorporate some more recent wrestling events, since again this was from 2020 is when I started it to entertain myself during the Rona. Anyway, once the schedule's figured out, it'll be figured out. Whatever. Just subscribe, like, comment, blah blah blah. Find my other links. That's it. I do have another wrestling project. You can find it. Just find it. Use your fucking brains, kids. Thank you for listening. I love you all. Good night.